in a small and cozy cafe, tucked away on a quiet street. The soft evening light filters through the windows, casting a golden glow over the tables and chairs. At the back of the cafe, sitting by the window, is Alex, a 22-year-old with a contemplative expression. Alex is alone, with a steaming cup of coffee in front of him. The surroundings are calm, almost as if time has slowed down there. However, the expression on his face tells a different story. His eyes are fixed on the street outside, watching people pass by and the sun slowly setting. As he stirs his coffee, Alex begins to reflect on his life. He thinks about how the past year seems to have flown by in the blink of an eye. Memories swirl in his mind, the start of the academic year, the challenges he faced, and the endless nights studying for exams. Now, with the end of the semester approaching, he wonders, where did all that time go? In the cafe, an old clock on the wall ticks softly, marking the passage of time. Alex notices how each tick seems like a reminder that time is moving forward, no matter what he does. He wonders if he is truly making the most of every moment or if he is simply letting time slip through his fingers. This moment of introspection is interrupted when a friend approaches and sits in the chair next to him. The conversation soon takes an unexpected turn, with the friend expressing frustration about how time seems to fly by, especially when life is full of problems and challenges. Alex listens, absorbing every word, and the concept of time, which had previously seemed abstract, begins to take on a more concrete form in his mind. Alex listens attentively as his friend vents. The frustration in his friend's voice is palpable. "Have you ever noticed how time flies when everything is going wrong?" he asks, his voice laden with exasperation. "It's like every day passes in a blur and suddenly you look back and see that a year has passed in an instant." These words resonate deeply with Alex. He thinks about the times he also felt like time was speeding up, especially when facing challenges and difficulties. "I know exactly what you mean," Alex replies slowly. "It seems that the harder the situation, the faster time flies, as if it's trying to escape from us." The cafe starts to get busier and the atmosphere around Alex changes, but his mind is absorbed in the conversation. He recalls specific moments, like the endless nights of studying, when time seemed to drag, but also hid behind a curtain of hurry when he needed answers the most. It's a paradox that confuses him, and he wonders if there is anything he can do to cope with this perception of time. His friend continues, lamenting the feeling that, despite all the effort, time never seems to be enough to fix mistakes or achieve desired goals. And when everything is going wrong, he says, it feels like frustration just makes time go by even faster. As the conversation continues, Alex feels a growing weight on his shoulders. He realizes that while time passes relentlessly and unpredictably, it can be shaped by our actions and choices. The idea that time can be influenced by what we do, and that lamenting lost time is futile, begins to take shape in his mind. After the conversation with his friend, Alex returns home with a whirlwind of thoughts. In his small study, he sits at the computer and begins to review his notes, but his mind can't move away from what they discussed. The sense of frustration his friend expressed echoes in his own life. He opens a folder on his computer, filled with documents and unfinished projects. Each item in the folder seems like a silent reminder of missed opportunities and unmet goals. Alex begins to reflect on the past year, and the feeling of lost time overwhelms him. He remembers plans and promises made to himself that were never fulfilled. As he looks at the unfinished projects, a mix of regret and discouragement arises. "I could have done more," he thinks. "I should have used my time better." Each unreviewed page and each unfinished task seem to confirm his fear that time was wasted. The clock on the wall, which once seemed like a mere object, now becomes a symbol of the relentless passage of time. He looks at the clock, watching each second pass, and the weight of procrastination and missed choices becomes almost tangible. Alex begins to question if the feeling of having lost a year is a reflection of his own lack of action. Deep down, he knows that lamenting lost time won't change the past, but the frustration is palpable and hard to ignore. The idea of having wasted a year torments him, and he feels he needs to find a way to turn this feeling into something productive, so he doesn't continue accumulating regrets. Alex spends the night awake, his mind restless and thoughts in turmoil. In the morning, he decides to take a walk to clear his mind. The streets are quiet and shrouded in the morning fog. As he walks, he realizes that the passage of time is inevitable and that nothing can change what has already happened. He sits on a bench in the local park, surrounded by trees and flowers beginning to bloom. The serene environment contrasts with his tumultuous mind. Alex watches the falling leaves and the steady rhythm of nature around him. He realizes that despite his frustration, life continues to move forward, and the world doesn't stop for him to resolve his personal dilemmas. With a deep sigh, Alex realizes that time will pass, regardless of his actions or inactions. He understands that if he continues to lament lost time, he will only be paralyzing himself. What truly matters is how he uses the time he still has. Inspired by the beauty around him and the growing clarity in his mind, Alex makes a decision. Instead of focusing on missed opportunities, he commits to focusing on concrete and productive actions for the future. He realizes that by facing his challenges and working towards his goals, he can create a more fulfilling future. With this new perspective, Alex decides to create a plan to make his dreams a reality. He makes a list of goals and steps to follow, starting with small actions that can be done immediately. By doing this, he feels a renewed sense of purpose and hope, understanding that while he cannot change the past, he can shape his future with the actions he takes from now on. With his plan in mind, Alex begins to implement his new goals. He dedicates time daily to work on his projects, breaking down large tasks into smaller, more manageable steps. Each morning, he rises with a clear to-do list, which helps him stay focused and motivated. The first week is challenging, but Alex remains determined. He discovers that by completing small tasks every day, he makes significant progress. Each small step brings him closer to his goals, and the sense of accomplishment begins to replace the previous frustration. Projects that once seemed insurmountable now appear more achievable as he continues to work on them. Alex also starts to notice changes in his perspective. Each day, he feels more in control of his time and less overwhelmed by the sense of missing out on opportunities. He learns to appreciate small advances and recognizes that continuous progress is more important than trying to achieve big milestones all at once. Moreover, Alex finds a balance between work and leisure. He allows himself moments of rest and enjoyment, knowing that taking care of himself is an essential part of the process. These breaks help recharge his energy and maintain creativity and motivation. As time passes, Alex observes tangible results from his efforts. The projects he was working on begin to take shape, and he feels an increasing sense of accomplishment. Time, which once seemed like an unrelenting adversary, is now seen as a tool he can use to build the future he desires. With each passing day, Alex realizes that time, when used productively, can be a powerful ally. He learns to value the present and act with purpose, understanding that while he cannot control the passage of time, he can influence what he does with it. As the months go by, Alex starts to see the fruits of his labor. He reaches significant milestones in his projects and feels growing satisfaction with the progress he is making. Each week, he revisits his goals and adjusts his plan as needed, always keeping the focus on what truly matters to him. The transformation in his life is evident. He feels more fulfilled and less troubled by time. Daily small victories help keep his motivation high, and he finds joy in seeing his progress, even if it is sometimes subtle. Time, which once seemed like an enemy, is now an ally he can shape with his actions. Alex also notices that his new approach to life is positively affecting other aspects of his existence. Relationships with friends and family improve as he becomes more present and engaged. He shares his experiences and encourages others to adopt a similar mindset, showing how small efforts can lead to significant changes. However, the most significant change is in his own perspective. Alex realizes that the accelerated perception of time, when facing difficulties, was a way to protect himself from frustration. Now, by focusing on concrete actions in the present, he sees that time can be lived more fully and meaningfully. In a moment of introspection, Alex finds himself back in the park where his journey began. Sitting on the same bench, he observes the same serene scene from before, but with new understanding. Time continues to pass, but he now sees it as a steady and predictable flow, rather than an unrelenting adversary. This new view brings him a sense of peace. He understands that while time may seem relentless at times, it is how we choose to use it that defines our experience. Focusing on action and gratitude for the present helps him value each moment, rather than merely waiting for time to pass. As the sun begins to set, Alex stands up from the park bench, now with a lighter heart and a sense of fulfillment. He looks forward to the future with optimism, knowing that time is not his enemy but a partner in his journey. By taking control of his actions and embracing each moment, Alex is ready to continue shaping his path with purpose and determination.